in St. Louis and Steven Santini over in the Ontario Reign organization.
Mm-hmm.
Our top line has been, I believe, Matt Kessel and was it Callie Rosen with him?
Yeah, Callie.
So that's certainly been interesting. But they seem to be holding up okay. I like the pairing. It's a young guy with a veteran, just like it was last year. But I think that our defense is one of our weaker spots, and we're going to need to work on that.
Sure. Well, Brady, it's been a pleasure. I don't mean to kick you out.
Oh,
but,
no.
We got
these guys.
We got some pretty awesome guys standing by that want to come and chat with us, I think.
Every morning when I ride to school, I put on the Bax and Nagel.
It's exciting.
There you go. So,
exciting. Well, Brady Dennison, the super fan that sits behind me and wants my job very badly.
And heckles you when you
you're not
mess up.
going to get it, but thank you anyway.
He will never remember the Marcotte Ford Final Five.
No, I will not. No.
I would if I had your job.
Well, too bad. Sorry to Marcotte Ford.
Well, thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brady. See you later.
Mike's up.
Well, you guys think about coming on? Cool. Happy to have you. Sorry we only got one mic, but we can all share. But the sort of gentleman of the hour here, yeah, give them both and we'll share. That's fine. We're joined right now by Bax and Steve Nagel. Not bad, huh? Is that flipped on? I want to make sure that's flipped on. There you go. Cool.
Hey,
Perfect.
how about this fancy
Yeah.
setup you got here?
The second take was so much better.
Well, I always try to do 2 takes just in case I messed up on the
That's
first.
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, congratulations on what you have going on with the Mayflower Marathon. I mean, we were talking about our kids go to the same elementary school, and they have, they're running their own donations for you guys, and it's amazing the word that has been spread for this throughout the community.
Yeah, it's become, we've said it all along. It's become way less of a radio station event and much more of a community event over the years. A lot of people who don't even know that Rock 102 is behind it. It's they just know that we're doing this for the open pantry year after year.
The amazing thing about it is, before the pandemic happened, food insecurity was hovering about 9%. And right now it's at like 25%. I mean, it's an absolute crisis situation in the Springfield community. So, this year is our 30th year, but we've never had a need like we do right now. So we're hoping that this year breaks our record, which was last year at like $174,000.
Wow.
We're looking to obliterate it this year. Simply because there's almost twice as many people who need it than there was just a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I mean, for you guys, is it still a grind? I mean, the hours and hours and hours that you spend, like what's the hardest point, like physically?
Getting up, putting on my clothes, and having to be there on Monday morning. Oh yeah, that is every day. We're so used to it by this point. It's really like we kind of have benchmarks of like how well we're doing, or like, okay, we made it to Tuesday morning, we made it to Tuesday afternoon,
like little victories along the way,
or certain things happen at certain times. We can say, we're halfway there, or we're almost through. To me, the toughest part about it are like the following 3 or 4 days when you're trying to recover from the exhaustion of it. But when you're doing it, you're so consumed with adrenaline and seeing a lot of your friends and a lot of the people that support the radio station and the cause, that it's really, really motivating. And I know for me, I just get so pumped by the end of it that it's total. I don't even think about how exhausting it is until it's done.
Right. Yeah. Right. Now, I think it's so cool that we have this new thing going on with the Thunderbirds, and it's like every Wednesday is the Wednesday game right before Thanksgiving. Yeah. Talk about that partnership with you guys and Nate, and who's Nate's on your airwaves. Nate loves the microphone and a camera looking like that. My goodness.
Oh, I know. Can't keep away from
God,
the damn
handsome.
thing.
He's not just a snack; he's a whole concession stand.
He really is. But how great?
But not a Chick-fil-A, because he's open every day of the week. Not just 6 days.
Not 6 days. Yeah. But a little bit about that partnership and getting them involved.
Well, I think when we were looking for venues last year, a lot of people around the community stepped up and wanted to be a part of it. MGM made a really great pitch. It was hard to say no to, but the Thunderbirds were involved in some other conversations too. And no matter what happens, they were like, well, we still want to be a part of it, and we want to be a major part of it. And after discussions with Nate and other members of the foundation, we're like, well, you know what? It makes just perfect sense to incorporate all of this. And they've been a tremendous partner. That Wednesday game last year, you know, I think like Wednesday morning, we're like, we think, oh my God, we got to go back to the Mass Mutual Center for a hockey game. It's never going to end. But when we were there, Steve and I just had so much fun.
Your adrenaline came right back. Everybody's so into it. They're all there for the open pantry. They're all there to support us, and it's like we got the best fans around, man.
Yeah.
You can't beat that.
It's easy to forget that this isn't about us at all. This is really about Springfield, and everybody in Springfield participates. Okay.
It's a little bit about us.
It's a little bit about us, but it's not all about us. I mean, it's like 75% us, the 25. 60-40, I think, is a really good split.
We feed people and our egos.
Yes, but mostly we feed people.
Right.
So put that on the back of the jersey.
We should.
That's next year's shirt.
Right.
So can we talk about the jerseys? I know you guys had those made up specifically, and you're going to be selling those as well.
It's Bax is this is kind of like a good year for him because this is his. Well, it's more than 30 for you, or it is your 30th?
No, this is 29.
29 for you.
29 for me.
But it's been going on for 30 years. And we kind of had to do some figuring out of who was right about which year we started this thing, because when it started out, it was really just a truck in the old Hall of Fame park.
Yeah, it was like hammer and sickle at that point. It didn't have pens.
Right.
And there was the internet.
Yeah, we counted all the food with an abacus.
Right.
And I wasn't there back in the days of the Edsel, but Bax was, and he could tell you how they didn't have a whole lot.
No, we didn't. We had one truck in the old Hall of Fame behind the building, very much hidden from public view. Not so unlike the way it was for the next 27 years, but nevertheless.
And the pickup point was at the McDonald's in the South End, and they had to haul all of that food back and forth of each donation back to the old Hall of Fame. It was grueling, right, Grandpa?
So exciting. Yeah, it really was, Sonny.
One last question for me, and this is the kind of thing that I gripe about all the time on Twitter, because that's where the most educated people like to go. I get this feeling that like everything east of Worcester just treats us like we're rural Kentucky. And I feel like we are almost self-sustaining from the rest of the state because we don't have Boston, we don't have the funding, we don't have this, we don't have that. And so it's up to us to do our own thing and manage our own self. And I think that that's part of the reason why we're all so community based.
So here's the thing. I grew up east of Worcester, and I can tell you without hesitation, you're absolutely right. Nobody east of Worcester thinks about Springfield or Western Mass. All what they think is you get past Worcester and then it's Stockbridge, but everything in between, it's like Worcester and then Tanglewood and back, and then that's it. But having lived here for just about 30 years, I have to tell you that this community is a tight-knit community, and that it really does understand the power of generosity and of community. And when it comes to stepping up, Springfield does a tremendous job. All of Western Mass does a tremendous job, whether it's the tornado or microbursts or anything else, or the Mayflower Marathon. When times are tough, we all galvanize together, and it really there's no other community in Massachusetts that does it this way.
I like to do that old grandpa story about how this is like our own version of Stone Soup, the old Stone Soups. It is, because everybody kind of contributes. Not one person has all of the resources, but every one person in this area brings something to the table, even if it's one can down to the marathon. It helps us every bit feed the rest of the community. So we're proud to be part of this.
Yeah. Well, when times are tough, I look at Brian Lapis. And I was like, Brian, how are we going to get through this? Look,
22.
Download the 22 News app.
Yes. When you're looking to feel just a little bit bad about things, you go to Lapis.
That's just it. Well, back Steve Nagel, I really appreciate you guys coming on the podcast.
Oh, our pleasure.
Again, I'll be listening tomorrow, as we always do. And thank you for all that you do for Springfield, the community, and for the Mayflower Marathon.
Zito, it's been great to be with you. I can't thank you enough.
I've had a wonderful time, Regis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, you're welcome.
Oh, wait, are you the Kellogg guy? I can't remember.
No. I got out of the business.
Oh, okay.
as fast as I could,
Good for you.
running from John Bayback at lightning speed. That's what I was doing.
He didn't burn you with a candle, did he?
WHYN news time is 5:45. No, I got that.
Well, it's gonna be sunny tonight.
We appreciate you guys. Get back. Are you slinging beers now, or?
We're not slinging anything.
I mean,
We're slinging buckets of cash.
I was
That's
gonna
what
say,
we're doing.
I'll take a pour on that
Yeah,
one.
no, yeah, right. I'm shaking people down. That's what I'm doing.
Good for you.
Shaking them down for cash.
As you should be.
Well, thank you so much for having us. We really
No,
do
I
appreciate it.
appreciate it. I
And
appreciate it.
how many people are watching this right now?
Last check was 1, and it was my wife.
Oh, good.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but we'll do our best. And
All right.
figure it out. But again, it's funny. We started this podcast because there was no Springfield Thunderbirds podcast, and these creatures go bananas for it. They
Well,
love
here
it,
you are.
That's
So,
great.
We're rocking and
Proudly
rolling. man.
sponsored by White Lion Brewing.
Now, can you do the announcing thing for me?
Sure. Jimmy's Pub of Enfield reminds you to please be aware that pucks do leave the playing surface and can be projected into the stands at any time during play. Please keep your eye on the puck.
Look at this. We got a
Wow.
Walter Cronkite
No
right here. Look
kidding.
at that.
Wow.
huh?
Don't tell Pat Kelly.
Man, you're like Jack Edwards over there.
Yeah.
Well, there's a tumbling muffin.
What's the rest of the story there, pal?
Time for him to go, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Can you
boy.
do the goal thing? Can you do the goal? Like when you-
T-Bird's goal.
yeah, there you go.
Very
Oh, look
good.
at that. huh?
That
Yeah.
is professional.
I can't do that in February when I get a head cold, though. It's a little too high of an octave.
You may or may not make it in this business. We'll let you
No,
know.
we'll see. No, I already tried and I failed. But thanks, thank you guys so much. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Now, this is
you.
when you would normally go to a commercial break, but we're not doing that. So
Oh no,
I
I'm
can't
just
hear
gonna
from-
get up and leave. All right.
love you guys. Thanks
for,
again.
Thanks for the great time.
Of course. Well, there you go. There's Bax and Nagel from the Rock 102 morning show, and we greatly appreciate them taking the time to talk to us. They kicked Matt right out of there.
Yeah.
And oh, that's awesome. Those guys are the best. We really appreciate them coming. And yeah, we're gonna have all kinds of I don't know. Is this guy over here want to come in and get in the action? Sounded dangerous.
Not at all. Come on.
I mean,
Well,
Bax-
but it goes to the community thing, and we've talked about that too on the show. Why this partnership we have with White Lion and Rock 102 and serving the community, and that's what the Springfield Thunderbirds do. And we're happy to be a part of that.
yeah.
So
Absolutely. And thanks to everybody who's watching right now on YouTube. We appreciate you guys tuning in. And we do have another guest who wants to come on and chat, although I think they were kind of your opening act, Nate. You want to come grab a seat? We're happy to have you. Nate Costa, the president of the Springfield Thunderbirds. I'm going to just adjust the camera real quick. You can chat.
how's it going?
Real thing.
Yeah, that's
Great.
it. That's it.
Nate, Matt Baker, season
Hey,
ticket
I'm
holder.
Matt, by the way. Matt Baker. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So what's new? What's going on?
What's new, huh?
How
A
are the
lot
kids?
of games. Kids are great. Trying to get home for bedtime tonight, so we'll see if that happens. But yeah,
we'll
things
see.
are really good. Can't complain.
Here you go.
Cool.
I brought the kids with me, so bedtime is when this is over.
Yeah, I think that we have to pick our battles. I have a 2.5
yes.
and a 6-month-old, so I think they're going to come to the game tomorrow, and that's their trek downtown. So
That's
There you
awesome.
go.
it was
That's
either
awesome.
today or tomorrow.
Very nice. Very nice.
So tell us a little bit about this sort of relationship that you guys have built with the Mayflower Marathon and Bax and Nagel and Rock 102.
Yeah, I mean, Baxter Nagel and the guys, we've really started the relationship going back a few years, even before the Mayflower Marathon. We've participated in it since the beginning, since I came, but it really grew after they had those troubles last year in finding a spot, and we wanted to do the right thing and be a partner. But they've always been good to us. I mean, we have an advertising relationship, but outside of that, they've done a really nice job of promoting us, and I mean that's the big thing, as you know, like. We've really tried to put a focus on advertising, and they were giving us quite a bit of just earned media and just supporting the team, which that's what it's all about, right? So we wanted to do the same thing. I mean, this is one of the biggest events in Springfield and all year, really. Being right downtown and a community staple, like only right thing that we should be doing this,
Yeah, no, it's and I asked them this sort of similar question, but it just doesn't it just feel like nobody from the east of Worcester gives a darn about us. And I feel like we're self-sustainable because of that. Like we
Yeah.
know we're getting no help, and so if we don't all come together,
Yeah.
we got nothing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what we do, Steve, you're a part of the organization in some ways. I mean, how much we do with the community, and how much our foundation work is important to us. And so, I mean, this just fits in so nicely with that. Like they've got a built-in food drive that provides so much to.
This happens when you're live. Not us.
That's
our
not our
fault.
mics, I don't think.
They're all looking at us like it was us. I don't think that was us.
It's like Joe Duzak looking at me when the horn goes off. I'm like, I had nothing to do with it.
That was brutal, actually. Yes. No, but I mean, as you know, like we're part of the community. They do such a nice job. It was when they're at the Hall of Fame, they were doing such a nice job. We were a part of it. And then when they were looking for a spot, Paul and I got together and we're like, how do we do this? MGM had the right spot, in general, because it's just so easy in and out, and they're a great partner. So we just said, how can we help? Like, how can we supplement it? And I mean, like we're trying to always do stuff to give back. So it just felt right. Like we didn't want to step on their toes and do our own event. We just wanted to contribute to their event. So, and it's what it's all about, right? Like I think what I saw before taking over for the Thunderbirds and stuff was very limited community involvement. Yeah. And obviously we're focused on sales and marketing. We're focused on bringing people to the building. But a big part of that is being invisible in the community and doing the right stuff, and how much you can get from that as well. And, community goodwill. So it's just been a big focus of our organization from the beginning.
How important is that for an AHL team, I guess, in general? I mean, I said this to Steve. I've said this to Lauren. What brought my kids in at a young age was seeing Boomer everywhere, seeing the Thunderbirds. And here in Springfield, it's the Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's our house is Thunderbirds.
That's cool to hear.
You look at other teams, they might have a professional basketball team. They might have a professional football. Like they have other sports to go around. How important is it for AHL franchises to have that community buy-in?
I mean, it should be a pillar of what the organization is doing. When I was lucky enough to be at the American League for a long time, so I got to see some of the high performers and what they were doing. Mm-hmm. And really, it's a focus on sales and marketing, it's game operations, and then community involvement, right? So from the community aspect, if you're not there, if you're not visible, if you're not getting your mascot out, if you're not doing things, it's just a missed opportunity, right? You got to become a fabric of the community when we're at this level, and especially when you're the main pro sports team in a city like we are. You're really capitalizing on that, right? And being the pillar in the community like a team should be. I mean, we're an economic driver, and that's the whole idea. Yeah. And we should be doing our part to give back.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, you really are. You saw your target and you hit it. I mean, it might, like I said, for my family, I can only speak for mine, but my kids, we get the Thunderbird stickers and they put them on the lawn, in the front lawn, and they're playing. They're the Springfield Thunderbirds football team in the front yard with the sticker on the 50-yard line.
That's cool.
The community has bought in. And, I brought a few other families into the kids club, and the kids club thing that you guys do is fantastic. Gets the kids excited about hockey, gets them excited for their pro team, and awesome.
That's a big part of it, right? Like just doing things that I always remember. I'm from Springfield. So when I took this team over, I remember going to games with my grandfather. We were doing the same things as kids. I'd come home and I was the Indians or the Falcons. And, that was what resonated with me. And so all the stuff that we wanted to do was try to get kids young, right? Because we're looking at the next generation of fans, right? I mean, it's great that you're bringing your kids, because that was the whole idea, was how do we engage the kids, because they never had really anything to engage in with the previous organization. Sure. Like we were trying to really create a brand that kids can be involved in, and that will grow as time goes.
One last question from me. One of the things we talked about on the show before is how I find it fascinating that usually Springfield can be a stepping stone. The AHL is a stepping stone to the next level. And yet when I look into your front office, Luke and John and Drew and Frank and Lauren and Jess and all these people have been here. They don't leave. It's not like, well, I'm going to use the Springfield Thunderbirds job so I can go get another job elsewhere. They all stay. And I think that's a real testament to you and how you run the operation and how you sort of support your staff. Is that something that you focus on as a team president?
Retention of our staff is crucially important just for the continued growth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unfortunately, we had to deal with the pandemic, which was a bummer. But we had a core group, like you just mentioned, Todd, Jess, Matt, Drew, Frank, Luke, John, like those guys were with us from the beginning. And I'm blessed with that because, like, I'm sure, you know, I don't want to jinx it, but I'm sure someone's going to get a job to go to the next level. And we are developing, right? Like, I mean, we talk about that a lot, that we're developing players on the ice. But, you know, we can't overlook the ability of having the chance to, you know, hone your skills and your craft at this level. And I put a lot behind trying to keep the people happy, right? Like, we put a lot into, you know, being a professional organization. And it's all about how you present that, right?
Sure.
Like, there's nothing different between what I'm necessarily doing and what a previous organization would be doing, other than leaning into it, right? And treating people right, trying to give them opportunities to, you know, make a living. That's stuff at this level that's not necessarily always focused on. But for me, coming from the sales side of things, like, it's where I got started. It's where my ticket sales team got started. It's kind of the foundation of our success. But really trying to find ways for them to advance their career here as much as possible. But I'm not naive to the fact that, you know, is Andrew going to go and be a top flight sales guy at the Boston Celtics one day? Probably. Like, and that will be
You'll support that.
That'll be a great thing. Like, I mean,
Right.
you know, we've had people go, right? Danny went to the NHL. China went to the NHL. You went to the NHL. Peter Bottini went to the NHL.
Yeah.
We've got other guys that have gone off and had success. Like, that's a testament to the organization. It's also a testament to the work that's being done by people that we're bringing in. But we had a vision for high quality stuff in general, right? Like, we had to change the entire perception around the brand of AHL hockey in Springfield. Like, that was our biggest challenge coming into this, was that the perception of AHL hockey was not great.
Well, I mean, they hit rock bottom there the last couple of years of the Falcons.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad.
You don't take a lot of joy in that, right? Because I was part of the league at that point, and like, I knew this market could be successful. Like, we saw it in Syracuse, we saw it in Grand Rapids, we saw it in Utica, we see it in like markets if you do it the right way. And unfortunately, when Bruce left, they didn't do it the right way. They didn't invest in sales and marketing. They didn't invest in their staff. They didn't invest in the game night experience. You gotta spend a little bit of money to create an environment that people feel good about, a brand that people feel good about, promotions and themes that people feel good about. And my ownership bought in hook, line, and sinker when I presented the business plan. When they hired me, we have not deviated one bit. It was all about doing those things, and reinvigorating life into the brand. Like, we knew we could do it it took a lot of work. I mean, you were there from the beginning. Like, you know, there were some dark days at the beginning there in 2016 in November when there's 1,000 people in the building and it's hard to keep the momentum going. But we stuck to our plan, and really it's the hard work of the staff. Like, I can't take much credit. I have a vision, but without the guys that are doing the work and the ladies that are doing the work to make this happen, like, it wouldn't happen.
Oh, stop. You're so humble. Humble.
What, Nate, if you don't mind, just a quick question, like the hockey side of it.
Yeah.
And we've talked a little bit about this. The AHL is a developmental league. It's also a professional league.
Oh, 100%.
What's the balance with, or some challenges that you face balancing being the affiliate for the Blues and respecting their wishes and balancing that with Springfield?
I mean, I think we make it pretty clear that we want to win at this level. Like, that was a challenge we dealt with Florida. One where our vision for the organization didn't align. They were focused on developing a few key players, and they thought they could do that without necessarily investing in winning. I've been around a long time. I've been around the AHL for over 15 years. So I've seen what the top tier organizations do. They invest in winning at this level, and they also want to develop players. That's the number one mission, right? Like, developing our players. We are a developmental league. I don't agree with what's going on in Chicago and Carolina right now, because it's not the mission of our league, right? Like, we are a developmental league. So I feel like maybe Chicago is putting us as an independent in a really tough spot, because we don't feel the same way as Chicago. Like I understand that you can't have a winning team every single year, and that's unfortunately hard to swallow sometimes. Like but it's part of development, right?
Sure.
And the St. Louis Blues have been partners that have been in line with that vision. Like, obviously we've had some success early on, right? I mean, we had the cup run and made the playoffs last year, but they've always been willing to spend the money to surround their prospects with good veterans, which is the key, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got to have key vets like Tommy Cross and Nathan Walker and Mackenzie McEachern and the guys Callie Rosen. These are NHL guys at our level that are teaching young players how to be pros, and by extension, hopefully winning hockey games. Like, I think the Blues understand that, like, you develop far better in a winning environment.
You create a culture, right?
Yeah, well, it's contagious stuff, right? Like, winning is contagious, losing is contagious.
Sure. Yeah.
So you bring kids into a losing environment. It's hard to break that when you call a guy up when you're losing every single night, right? Like, you want to win. And it's, I don't know. It's been a really great relationship with St. Louis, honestly. I mean, we have friction points, right? Because we run the business. So, I want a lot of weekends. We have a lot of 3-and-3s. Not great for development. And we understand that. And we want to be better at that. That's something that St. Louis says, well, like, we need to have less of that in our world. And we understand it. Like, that third game in a 3-and-3, probably not doing a ton for their development. We have to sell tickets, right? We have to fill the building. We have a business to run. So you have to manage that a little bit. But I feel like both of us have an open line of communication. Like, I think that's key at this level is, like, you can't just assume that people know things. And in business and in life, you've got to work through what is good for each of us. And they've been really good partners. Like, they like the environment. Like, the building's full. It's loud. It's rowdy. They went to the finals, and that is huge for development. They're putting their guys, they're getting 20 extra games, high pressure games, big environment. Those games in Laval, I mean, those games were unbelievable. Or when we came back here in the Eastern Finals, I mean, you're talking, edge of your seat games in big buildings, big crowds, big pressure. And that kind of stuff. Like, you can't put a value on how much that goes. And I think they saw that too. And I think there's some positives too that we don't really talk about a lot with us being where we are. Like, they were in San Antonio. So before they came here, they're on a plane every single night. They lose a day of practice time. Here, we're in our rink almost 90% of the time to practice. But, we've got 3 teams within an hour and a half. These guys sleep in their beds 80% of the time. Like, that's a great thing. Like, I bet you if you ask some of these players what it's like to actually get to sleep at home and sleep in their own bed, it goes a long way. Now, maybe we're not San Diego and you can't play golf in January. Like, there's those kind of things that, obviously I have in the back of my mind. But from a pure hockey standpoint, like, Callie Rosen came down and, he played up all last year. He came down and he's such a pro. He just said, look, like, there would be nowhere place I'd rather play in the AHL than here because of the environment, because of the atmosphere, because of how much people care about the sport here. And, he was in Toronto. So we were like, well, really, you were in Toronto. It's the hockey mecca, right? He's like, it's almost too much. Right. You're there. The parent team is there. You got a lot of eyeballs. There's a lot of challenges. So, there are things that players really value. Like Tommy Cross, as a pro and as a vet, says that, the word gets around that, hey, it's a good place to play, especially if you're a vet. The building's full. The guys treat us well. It's a professional environment. That was key to me. I took over the team, and I wanted, I have that thing in my head about Springfield being a lower tier city, right? Like, oh, it's not a top end city. It's not San Diego. It's not San Antonio. So what we tried to do is the minute those guys step foot in the building, I want them to feel like pros. So if you look at what we do, like, I want the lobby to feel like a pro lobby. When they get into the locker room, like, I want them to feel like they're in a pro environment. Like, there's a roadmap to St. Louis that it's not just about being here. And like, a lot of that stuff goes a long way in terms of recruiting players, getting players here. Now, maybe we don't go out and sign those guys, but I'm hoping that a lot of stuff that we're doing is bringing guys in. So
that's awesome. That's good stuff.
It's great.
Great stuff.
Well, Nate, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
I know I talk a lot. So.
No,
that
that's
was
good.
great
Trying to-
stuff.
People are
Good
tired
stuff.
of hearing from us. So.
Yeah, there we go. Well,
But,
I appreciate you guys having us on and
Yeah, no problem.
everything you guys are doing to build the game. Like, this is cool stuff. I appreciate all you
This
guys.
was kind of this was an empty niche. We thought. I mean,
Yeah,
like how was there
100%.
not a Thunderbirds podcast? So that's why we hopped
it's
on it,
awesome.
because
It's good stuff.
You know,
I follow
Find
it
a
and I
void and
appreciate
fill
it.
you know?
Absolutely.
no. And when tell a couple of those players to come by, we'll ask them those questions about how awesome it is to play in Springfield.
All right,
Like to hear
boss.
from
Share
you.
the word.
Thanks,
Nate,
guys.
thank you so much.
Joey
Yeah,
and
appreciate it.
Money.
Take care.
That's
Thank
good.
you.
All right.
Thanks, Nate.
Thanks, buddy.
Love you, pal. All right, there goes Nate Costa, president of your Springfield Thunderbirds. Boy, it feels good to support this team after hearing something like that.
It
doesn't
does. And you know, we've talked about it. The reason I'm here is because my kids felt immediately part of a Thunderbird community.
Yeah.
And to hear him say that was their vision. I mean, I'm not a business guy, right? But businesses fail when you have these aspirations, these targets, and you don't follow your own steps to get there.
Right.
And so Thunderbirds,
Oh man, I thought my neighbor was going to come sit down and talk with us.
we'll get them on.
Yeah.
But you know, you set a goal, you set your steps, and you follow those steps, and it's true. I mean, everywhere you go, there's Boomer. Everywhere you go, there's a Thunderbird sign. They're in the community.
I mean, you
They're in the
talked about it.
community.
How everywhere Boomer is. Boomer is everywhere,
Yeah.
and that's a testament to people who care.
Yeah.
If Boomer's handler didn't care, he wouldn't come. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I found it fascinating how important he feels about, getting the word out to players that Springfield's a cool place to play. Like if you, like, I look at sometimes and I'm, like when they signed like Sam Annis and Matt Pekka and I'm sitting here going like, why are those, like they chose us? Like, I
yeah.
haven't gone down. Like you chose us. And then it's like, well, that's why, because they walk into the locker room and they're like, oh, this is legit. And they realize they can sleep in their own bed. And they realize that a 3-game road trip is only, an hour and a half away. And
You're still, and that is a big point. You're still, no matter what, coming back home to sleep in your own bed, the comfort, and it really is. I mean, it's a fun environment to be a fan in. I can only imagine what it would feel like as a player. Hopefully, we get some players on in a few minutes. I think they're shifting.
yeah, we're coming up
The
on
bartender's out.
7 o'clock. I think the first round of players are done. So we'll see if we can get, like I said, I really want to talk to Joe Duzak because I thought he was going to murder me once.
I think him and Hugh McGing are just about done.
The other thing, awesome. The other thing too is that Joe Duzak, he has, so like I watch him during warmups, and like he doesn't even touch a puck unless like he's told to, and they're doing drills.
Yep.
Like there are guys who like get a puck and they just like flip it, and they flip it up in the air, and they put it down, and they flip it.
Yeah.
And he just kind of skates around, just kind of looks around, doesn't really, and
Yeah.
but he'll always come, and the first thing he does is bang into the glass right in front of me, and that's like his routine.
Yep.
But that's where my coffee sits.
Yep.
And so every time I announce, I'm like, all right, well now I gotta hold on to my coffee because I know Joe Duzak's gonna come and try to knock it over.
Nice.
So yeah, it'd be nice to talk to those guys. And yeah, I mean, Hugh McGing, he's been here for a long time, and it's amazing how, the vets are young guys. Like, it only takes 2 or 3 years before you are like the example, the leading example for the next crop of players because of just your experience, not your age, but your experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now as the Thunderbirds, you've got a good mix of those real raw young guys and your older Hugh McGing vets. So,
All right, we got. Huh? Oh, cool, awesome. Ryan, you want to come sit down?
Joey's going to join you.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Very
We're about to
nice.
get Joey Duzak, so that's fantastic. Appreciate that, Ryan. Ryan Smith is here. By the way, there's a whole bunch of the Thunderbirds front office. Again, they all have better things to do, but yet here they all are. Joe Duzak, appreciate it.
How you doing? Matt, nice to meet you.
Joe Duzak coming on. Steve Forney, Matt Baker, thanks for coming on. Off the top, Joe,
Back up.
I am the PA announcer, if you didn't know. So I'm the one whose coffee you try to knock over when you're going through warm-ups and you smash on the glass. Yes, so that's what I want to talk about. So I thought you were going to murder me. I saw the look in your eye, and I thought my life was in danger.
Yeah, I was gonna come over to apologize to you, but I went to the other side. The other guy was because I didn't know you were not
That's
running
all I
it.
do is
Yeah,
talk, man.
and then I it was a classic mix-up. Yeah,
I was like, I still have nightmares.
Yeah.
That look you get, and I felt bad because whenever things go wrong on the ice, I feel as part of the production team, I always feel like partially responsible. Like in the freaking anthem singer's mic doesn't work, I'm like embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
So I felt terrible about that, and I'm so glad that you guys didn't lose that game because if you did, it would have been like, well, the horn didn't go off, we would have won. But
yeah, no excuses. Yeah, but yeah, sorry about that.
it's all
So you
good.
can yell at him. It's all right.
Yeah.
So I do find it interesting because I mentioned that you sort of have your own routine pregame. It also to me seems like you don't like do a lot of puck work pregame. Like there are guys who get the puck and they flip it and they flip it and they flip it. And you just kind of like skate around, like take it all in.
Yeah, I like to save my energy. I
Is that what
don't.
it is?
Yeah, but I just ever since I was a little kid, I just never really even enjoyed warm-ups. You know, I just want to get right into the game. So if it was up to me and I could change rules in hockey, it'd probably be 5-minute warm-up right into the game.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I think it's a waste of time.
You do.
Yeah,
Now, do you do a lot of like stretching and stuff? Like, do you do more?
yeah, soccer and calisthenics and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, nothing crazy that other people wouldn't do. But I just want to get right into the game. We're there for 2 hours, and then we gotta and then we gotta warm up and come back off the ice, and then go back on the ice, and then it's like, what is it, 18, 15 minutes?
Yeah, it's like I think it's 16 minutes.
So
or
then
something
what's
like
the
that,
point of the warm-ups if you're going to come in and sit back down for 18 minutes?
Wow. Are there players who, and you don't have to name drop anybody and throw them under the bus, are there players that need that warm-up time?
Oh yeah, I'm sure the goalies love it. You know, they get to see pucks, you know, and stuff like that. But I think we could condense it into 5 minutes.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
First year in Springfield, what do you think of the environment and the process and the division compared to other places that you've been?
Yeah, I think this is one of the tougher AHL divisions. It's a lot of, you know, older veteran guys in the league and, well, in this division in the league. You know, it's a little more defensive than the other divisions. You know, there's a lot of hard, heavy hockey here, played here, a lot of hits and block shots and stuff like that. But yeah, I've loved it so far. The fans in Springfield are great. So
I do want to ask you too. I mean, I know you're not exactly Zdeno Chara, height wise, but I am noticing a lot more successful guys around your size on the back end, whether it's Torrey Krug and Scott Perunovich and and on and on. Have you always been a defenseman? Is it always sort of the way that you wanted to go, or did you make a switch at some point?
yeah, I played forward until I was 14 or 15 years old, and then my old coach Dan Marshall just thought I'd be better defenseman wise, and I did that, and I just stayed the D-man, and I occasionally people still throw me on forward, if things are getting out of whack or stuff like that. But yeah, I like to be a guy that can play everywhere. I think everyone should be able to play everywhere, and that's a true hockey player. You're able to do anything. But I just turned. This might be like my 10th or 11th year playing defense, and the other half of my life I was a forward. So
interesting.
Yeah,
Joey, we've been doing a lot of rotating with the goalie, Z and Subban and Z and Subban. As a defenseman, are you playing the game a little bit different depending on who your netminder is? Do they like you to play pucks a certain way? Are there angles am I thinking too much into it, or is that?
Even like Subban's great at handling the puck. He loves to handle the puck. I noticed. So, like Matt said, is that something that changes the way that you do certain things based on who's in goal?
No, I don't think so. I think both guys we have back there are really good. They keep us in games, especially the last couple of nights where, that in Hartford we didn't play our best. We know that, and without Z in that first period, it could have been 6-0. They're both stellar goalies. They're both good guys off the ice. So I think it doesn't really change much for us. We got to stick to our game plan. The D got to stick to doing what the D are supposed to do that game, the forward's supposed to do that game, our game plan as a team. So I don't think it really has much to do with the goalie.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the middle of my class. I teach high school. I was in the middle of my class. Like, you kids do something else, I'm going to stream the game.
Yeah.
And Z was, I mean, he was really good. Are those 10 o'clock games, those morning games? Does that really screw up the routine, or is it harder to play them on the road than it is at home?
It definitely is harder to play them on the road. You got to get up earlier. You're not used to
Sitting in traffic on 91.
Yeah, stuff like that. It is harder to go away, and the meetings are all condensed into 15 minutes and stuff like that. When at home, you could show up. You could do a meeting right before, the day before, the night before, stuff like that. So yeah, everything's a bit more rushed, but I do feel that it is harder to play on the road. But there's no excuses.
Yeah.
We're old enough. We should be ready to play every game.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
3-3s. Again, no excuses, but fan. Would you like to see
I hate
less?
the 3-3. I hate the 3-3.
Yeah, I mean, the 3-3 is a bit, it's hard because, that's when most fans can make these American League games, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Obviously in the NHL, people are coming out on Tuesday and Thursday nights and stuff like that. And I think the fans in Springfield can and probably would come out Tuesday and Thursday night because we have a great fan base, but other American League teams obviously, don't draw that type of crowd. But yeah, I think last year playing in the KHL, when you play every other night like we did, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, etc., I think that's the best schedule. You're able to play the game, practice, play the game, clear your mind for the next game and get ready to go. So I think the every other day is what should be played.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's a shorter season.
That's why I left the NHL, because I was doing Bruins games as a teacher, and I was doing Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and my Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at school were ruined. It's like an hour and a half out to Boston, and I'd be at home at 12:45, you're up at 5:30 a.m. It's like, then you deal with freshmen all day. It's like the worst.
Teenagers, they're not.
So, well, Joe, we appreciate you taking the time. How was the bartending? All right? You
Yeah. I thought I did a good job. College definitely helped us out.
Nobody challenged you to game of beer pong or anything?
Yeah, no,
Flip
that's
cup?
not tonight. No, not tonight.
Okay.
The big game tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see everybody there. So,
well, we appreciate you taking the
Awesome.
time with us.
Yeah,
and
thank you very much. And good luck
thanks
tomorrow.
again.
Thank you.
Take it easy. All right. That was awesome. There goes Joe Duzak.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
good stuff.
it's,
And that's funny. He you didn't even have to ask him. He was just kind of like, "Yeah, I meant to apologize to you about that."
I wonder if he got. I wonder if somebody mentioned something to him beforehand. But yeah, no, I can't even. The look he gave me, I was like, and I'm going, dude, it's not me, it's that guy. And
Yeah.
What the? And I'm like,
Yeah. Hey, I mean, we almost spent the whole episode talking about the Gremlins, and even I could only imagine what that emotion. You're in the middle of a power play, you're setting things up, you're moving the puck
and you're in
around,
great shape, and then the
and-
horn goes off. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Well, that was awesome. That's that's also the first player we've had on. So tip of the hat to him. And as we pass 7 o'clock now, it looks like James. I think I saw Wyatt Kalynuk walk in. I saw Jamison Reese walk in. So if you are watching this at home, thank you so much. But also, if you're in the greater area, come on down.
come on down. It's people coming in pretty steady.
Yeah,
It's pretty busy.
yeah.
The bar's full, which is always a good thing.
Awesome.
And grab a bite to eat, have some good beer here at White Lion, and enjoy the community.
Yeah, and this is a really cool spot as well. I haven't again we don't, I can't do a lot of pregame stuff,
Yeah.
so like I don't come very often, but this is a really cool space. I love the wide open kitchen.
Yeah.
That's one of those things I kind of always loved. So if you're in the area, and again, try to bring down some canned goods. If the Mayflower Marathon's going on, and Baxton Nagel and Rock 102 are trying to do everything they can to help out the community. And here we are, Hugh Money McGing.
Hugh McGing. Here he
What's up,
is.
Hugh? How are you,
Yeah,
pal?
doing all right. How are you guys?
I'm fantastic. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, it's no problem.
So I guess off the top, young guy, a couple years here in Springfield, and now I already feel like you are one of the leaders, one of those ones that people kind of lean on. Even a guy like Matt Pekka, the captain, young guy, but already the captain and the one who's sort of leading everybody. In this league, it's interesting that leadership isn't an age. It's an experience, and it's a way that you carry yourself. Do you see yourself as sort of a leader on this team?
Yeah, I do. I think I'm more so a lead by example guy. I'm not really the loudest guy in the room, but I like to think that I go out there and do what I'm supposed to do, and the younger guys can see that and look up to that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about that. I've dubbed you, Mackenzie, and Laffy. You guys are the double McLaffy line, and we said this on other episodes. Yeah, I feel like your play and your energy on the ice is contagious, and you see it. And early on in the year when the top line is scoring the points and you guys are hustling, it brought the third line out, and it keeps the momentum and the flow coming. So I mean, you definitely bring the energy. And as a fan, my kids love watching you play and watching you dive to hit the puck into the neutral zone and things like that. So awesome. How is the leadership, the locker room, the new season? You know, you're here last year. How long does it take for things to change over into a new year and not so much gel like the end of the year, but how long does it take for a locker room to kind of turn over and get accustomed to each other?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different when you get a new captain, but, you know, we still have most of the team here, so the culture pretty much stays the same. And then it's however long it takes the young guys to get acclimated to that. And, you know, we're not going to change because that's what's worked for us in the past. And, yeah, it's been a pretty quick process this year.
Good. You know, when we look at Springfield in general, you know, I always think the nice thing about, first of all, this division is hard, man. This division sucks because it's so hard. But, like, at the same time, you know, Providence, Bridgeport, Hartford, like, you're not even leaving the region. Everything's an hour and a half away. You're spending so much time in your own bed as opposed to sleeping on, hopping on planes, doing all that stuff. How important is that as a player to be somewhere where you don't have to do so much?
Yeah, I think it's a lot more comfortable for the players as you're not spending, nights in hotel beds. You're able to go home and sleep in your own bed, which is a huge thing for a lot of guys. And it is a tough league. So, it's nice.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Hugh, you had a nice a little stint up in St. Louis at the end of last year. You want to talk a little bit about that experience? How that was up in St. Louis?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. Got up, St. Louis, got to play a home game in front of, 30, 40 friends and family that made the drive from Chicago. So that was amazing. It was, obviously something you always look forward to in your life when you're a little kid.
Sure.
And finally got it, and it was better than I was expecting. So.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on that. And, we talk about it all the time as Thunderbirds fans. We want our team to be successful, but I think both Steve and I feel like we want you guys to be successful. We want you guys to get up and reach your dreams, and so we hope for the best of you there.
I got a question. Does anybody actually care about the PA announcer? Because I am the PA announcer, and I just assume that nobody's ever listening to me.
Yes, they do.
They do?
They like the T-Birds go.
Should I throw Money McGing in there next time?
Yes.
By the way, where's this Money McGing come from? Where?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Shay. Shay.
Was it Shay?
Yeah, Shay created it. All the boys on the team thought it was great, so she kept running with it.
I mean, it works.
Yeah, I love it.
I want to hear it tomorrow night. We can't make the game, so we'll be watching. I want to hear it.
Hey, we got some of those glasses. We can get you a pair.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, I know you've been here for a while. I don't want to take up too much time. I know you got a game tomorrow, but we appreciate you sitting down and having a chat with us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I'll
Thank
be
you very
there
much.
between the penalty boxes tomorrow, my man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, no, our pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. There goes Hugh McGing. Absolute pleasure.
The Money McGing. So Shay makes up some of the.
I mean, it's all the marketing. And by the way, does Jake want to go meet Hugh McGing?
Say hi to Hugh.
You want to say hi to Hugh?
Say hi to Hugh McGing.
Hugh, this is Matt's son.
This is my younger son.
Don't take but I by the way, how awesome is this, man? We haven't had a player on the show, and we got two of them here already.
This has been an awesome podcast. We haven't even talked about hockey. Really.
No,
this is great. This is what it's all about. And again, let's not even forget kind of the reason we're here, Rock 102, the Mayflower Marathon, and canned goods and foods and donating to the people here in the greater Springfield area in need in the holiday season. So,
and it works out so well that we're at White Lion, which is so cool too. And we're so thankful of them for sponsoring what we're doing here. And again, we've talked about it with so many guys, the importance of community out here, and how we're kind of on our own. And by the way, thanks to Ryan Smith, who I know people can't see, but the reason why these players are coming up is because Ryan is grabbing them and saying, "Hey, come here." So thank you to Ryan Smith for grabbing all these players and bringing them over here. Come on over. You want to talk? I know you're good at it, so you might as well come over and grab the microphone.
I don't know if it's. I might have.
No. It's
not to invite myself or anything.
Yeah, no, we're happy to have you.
When I learned how to turn a microphone on.
Well, we try to
know a thing or two about that
a little bit. So Ryan Smith, the play-by-play voice of your Springfield Thunderbirds. Well, let me ask you, because we were talking to Nate about this. I feel like the AHL and even the Springfield market is a stepping stone. It's nothing more than that. And yet, so much of the staff and so many of the people and people like yourself have been here for so long. They don't leave.
Yeah.
Are you just going to stay here until you get an NHL gig, or because that's coming? Because you're fantastic at what you do.
What I've told people is I can't foresee myself moving laterally at this point.
Yep.
I think Nate and our staff and our ownership have shown such a great commitment to us, and I have a hard time believing that any move in this league laterally would be to my benefit. I think I'm treated too well here. I've got such a great staff and support system around me. We've got such a great partnership with St. Louis that I can't foresee an area that would be better for me in any other AHL place. Obviously, the end game goal for me, just like the players, is the NHL. So I'd be lying if I said I wanted to be here, quote unquote, forever. But I certainly can't foresee a situation in my American League days that I'd be anywhere but here, as long as Nate and Paul and our ownership group are running the show the way they are.
Yeah. It's funny. I always wanted to ask this question to musicians. How often do you kind of listen to yourself back, like old broadcasts?
You want the truth or the lie?
I want the truth.
A lot.
Do you really?
A lot. There's a lot of self-evaluation. I can't tell you how many times in my life.
You're not too hard on yourself, though, I hope.
I can be.
You're great. You're great. Sorry to interrupt. You're great to listen to. You do a great job.
I appreciate that.
I mean, I have AHL TV, but I listen to the radio. And do something else.
My thing is, going back to college, I've done this, and I'll listen back to something. I can't tell you how many times I had a broadcast that live in the moment I thought, hey, that one went really well, or, oh, that was not my best work, that wasn't great. And then I listen back and I think just the opposite of just what happened. It's a weird phenomenon how it works that way. But for me, if you're not listening back to yourself and you're not evaluating your own work, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Totally agree.
And I think anybody in a spoken or a musical field would say the same thing, that if you're not listening back and saying, hey, I might need new verbiage for those terms, or I might need new vocabulary here, or maybe there was an easier way for me to set that up, or maybe I should have toned it down a little bit. It's a game in November. It's not the Calder Cup Finals. Right. It's something like that. So it's little things like that I take a look at. Now, I'm not going to nitpick every goal call and say, okay, I need to never do that again. But, yeah, there's a lot of self-evaluation that goes into it. And you guys would know, in a field where you're constantly updating your demos and your reels of things that you've done, you're constantly listening to things you've done more recently and saying, how does this show an improvement from where I was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago? So
my wife used to make fun of me because I had that show on WHYN on the weekends, my sports show.
Oh, yeah.
And I would record it at 10 a.m. And then at 1 o'clock when it aired, I would listen to it. And she's like, are you listening to yourself? And I'm like, yeah. Well, then she's like, are you laughing at yourself?
Did she criticize
you? Pretty funny.
Did she say you were vain at all? Or?
No, I mean, she wouldn't listen. She'd leave. But, I mean, I felt that it was important to listen back to it almost as quick as I possibly could, so that I remembered what was coming next, and if that delivery sounded as good or as bad as I thought it did when I was saying it in real time.
Yeah.
Ryan, this is like a two-parter, because again, we watch on AHL TV the games we can't get to, and my kids are always like, how does he know all the away teams, and how can he say it as it happens? And so is it helpful that we play the same dozen teams.
Yeah. Well, without question, it does. And I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. When you see the same guys, for me, normally after about a period and a half, I have a good sense of who's who without having to look down at my cheat sheet. So, do I do a lot of memorizing going into it? Honestly, no.
Okay.
I try to focus more so on the guys who are the big impact players, the guys who are going to be eating up a lot of minutes. And I like to highlight the line combination so that if I see a line on the ice, I see the centerman, and then I can immediately look and see. And I've had the same system for years where pink highlighter is the top line, orange highlighter is the second line, yellow highlighter is the third line, green highlighter is the fourth line. And for some reason, that's just been the way I've done it. That's the way I remember things. And that's kind of what I go off of. But I'd say after about a period and a half, I don't have to look down for identification purposes at all.
Wow.
And I think anybody who has ever watched a sporting event and has been really in tune with it, you get a pretty good idea of who's who after a period, a quarter, a half, or whatever the case is. And then it just becomes kind of second nature at that point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's weird. I felt that in play-by-play, but even like, PA announcing basketball to where you're calling every bucket, every out of bounds, everything. And it's like, especially in the WNBA, it's like the players who have the long ponytails where I can't see the numbers.
Oh, no. I didn't even think of that.
They're the ones I remember first. Because I'm like, those are the hardest ones. But I write everything out. And then by the second quarter, I never even check my sheet because I know, again, it's different. There's only 12 players and 5 on a court at a time. But like,
I'll be honest, I'm not sure PA announcing isn't the harder gig of between you and me, PA versus play-by-play, because there's so many little things you have to be attentive to in that role that I think I'd be so caught up in viewing the action myself in my shoes and in my role that I'm so used to that I would it would totally slip my mind to say, oh yeah, foul on number 25 or timeout Connecticut.
Basketball's the hardest. There are times where I don't even know what the score is. And I look up and I'm like, oh, we're up 8, we're down 5. Like, I don't even know what the score is because and there are times when I get it wrong. And I've had,
and if you think about it in basketball, there's so many more stoppages. So there's so many more things for you to.
Every stoppage I have to say something.
I know, exactly.
Hockey's funny because I never catch a replay. Like, there are times where there's action going on, the goal horn goes off, and I'm like, okay, what's the time? Ref's coming over, this player, let me get the off-ice officials who got the assist. And I have no idea what happened. But it's like, and sometimes he'll say, like, we prep for the show by doing the game. And he's like, well, what happened Friday night? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I had stuff to read.
I mean, there's games where that happens, no doubt.
Ryan, my last question, calling play-by-play, would you find it helpful to have someone in there doing color with you, or do you like just flying solo and doing your thing?
I always tell people there's kind of a give and take with either scenario. So for when you're solo, the great thing about being solo is the fact that if you're in the middle of talking about something not related to the live play that's happening, you can quickly interrupt yourself and get back into it when there's a 2-on-1 developing out of nowhere or a random chance happens seemingly out of nowhere. Whereas if you are throwing it to a color guy, it's a little more awkward to jump in and interrupt them.
Yeah.
But by the same token, are there times in a game where I wish I had a color guy that I could throw to at a stoppage so I could, breathe and take a sip of water? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when I was in college and I did stuff as a student and we would do a play-by-play and a color guy and we would swap halfway through a game just to give both guys a chance to have a turn at each thing. It was helpful. And there were a couple of good friends of mine that I worked with in college who I had an instant rapport with. And I have no way of describing what it's like to have perfect chemistry with your color commentator than to just say, when you've got that perfect synergy with them.
Sure.
And it's hard to teach, it's hard to emulate, but when you have that, it is such a wonderful, wonderful thing. I mean, Steve knows this. I don't know if you know this. I grew up in Philadelphia, so I grew up listening to Merrill Reese and Mike Quick, who have been the Eagles tandem forever with NFL games. And their chemistry is just so down to a science. Merrill knows exactly when Mike's going to chime in. Mike knows exactly when to let Merrill have the show. And it's to a point where they don't even have to think about it. They don't have to tap each other. They don't have to give signals. It's second nature at that point. So when you have someone like that in that capacity, it's it's unbeatable. And Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale in St. Louis are the exact same way.
Mhm.
And the biggest compliment I can give Joey is when I stepped in to do a couple NHL games with him, I felt like I've been doing games with him for years and years and years. And that is the mark of what makes someone in that role so great, is the fact that they can just chat the game and feel like they've known you for 5, 6, 7 years, even if they don't know you from Adam.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for coming on, Ryan. We appreciate it. I know you're doing a lot of facilitating.
And not as much as you think.
Well, we appreciate you taking the
Yeah,
time to
yeah,
chat with
always
us for
a
a little
pleasure.
bit.
Thanks
Love
for flagging on the
Love what
plans
you
for
guys
us.
do, taking a little bit more work off my plate. So,
No, my pleasure. No, this is great.
no,
But,
always a blast.
you sound great, man. So
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thanks again,
Thanks,
guys.
Ryan.
Appreciate it. All right, there goes Ryan Smith, the voice of your Springfield Thunderbirds. I feel like I haven't said that since the WHYN days. There goes Ryan Smith, the voice of your
The
Springfield
voice of the
Thunderbirds.
Springfield Thunderbirds.
But a great guy, and again, to everybody that's viewing and watching on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. I got to tell you, Matt, I'm having a great time. I mean, my
I'm
glass
having
is
fun.
empty, but
Yeah. Well,
But-
maybe I know my kids wanted to come on and say hi and talk a little bit,
yeah,
a little
yeah,
Thunderbird. So let me go grab them and see if we can get you another one.
absolutely. Yeah, let's get the kids involved. Let's hear from the kids. And while you're doing that, I'm going to just mention one more time the Mayflower Marathon. That's sort of why we're all here. If you have the chance to either come down here to White Lion and make a donation, get some drinks served from Steve Nagel and some of the players, now's the time to do that. Also on Wednesday next week, any donations. In fact, I say Wednesday. I believe the next game Friday, tomorrow. I'm pretty sure that they're going to be taking donations as well. But either way, anything that you guys can do to come help out, non-perishable food items, that's sort of the goal. The goal here is to help those who need it, especially this time of the season, especially Thanksgiving, especially the holidays. Now is the time to do it. And while we got some special guests, why don't I share my mic and I'll take a quick breather.
Sure. Yeah,
And then
I'll
you
talk
can-
to them. That's fine. Yeah. Here, Chloe and Jake, you guys sit here. You got to turn your mic on. You guys can hold it. Chloe, can you squeeze in a little bit? Here, I'll get you a chair. You want to stay there?
I'll just stand on this edge with one foot. I'll scooch over. Jake, scooch over.
So we're joined now by my two favorite Thunderbirds fans. I got my kids, Tyler and Jake, and Chloe. You guys want to take some turns? Well, you're a friend. What are your favorite things about the Thunderbirds? What do you like most about going to Thunderbirds games?
You go.
Just go ahead, tell us. You go first.
I like just watching the games. Usually sitting in the defensive zone, so
You got to hold the mic up. There you go.
usually sitting in the defensive zone, so seeing them playing defense whenever they score the goals.
Big hits.
Yep, big hits, checks.
How about you, Jake?
Going with my
Very good.
going with my family.
Spending time with your family. How about
Yeah.
you? Give the mic to Chloe. Chloe, what's your favorite thing about going to Thunderbirds games?
They're a really good team and they're close. So it's not like other teams where you have to travel to like Boston or Italy.
Sure. Tyler, do you have a favorite player this year?
Probably Kenneth Walker. Nathan Walker.
Nathan
Sorry.
Walker?
Sorry. Nathan Walker.
Yep. How come?
He scores a lot of goals. And he's
It's a fun player to watch.
yeah, he's just fun.
Jake, who's your favorite player this year?
Got it.
How come?
Best player.
One of the best players. Awesome. You like them all, Chloe? Now here's a question for you, and you all can answer this. I know you all go to the same school, and a lot of times at some of your school functions, Boomer shows up.
Yeah.
How's that kind of feel like when Boomer comes up and hangs out at your school for a little bit?
It's kind of like really fun, and he sometimes sits in a chair and
Uh-huh.
just does some firework.
Hold the mic still. Yep.
And
Does he do a good job, Jake, getting the crowd riled up?
yes,
What does he do?
whatever every
Drums.
game comes out of the locker room.
Yep.
Drums and motorbike, whatever. I don't know what it is.
You got to hold the mic up.
Motorbike and whatever. It's
Uh-huh.
like just
Like
like a
four-wheeler.
motorbike. And he rides
He's
it
on the
out
quad.
and spins in round circles.
Yeah. Chloe, this is your first year on the Springfield Thunderbirds Kids Clubs. Tyler and Jake, this is your second year. What's been the coolest thing about the Springfield Thunderbirds Kids Club that you guys are a part of?
There's things that you can go to and like fun activities and events.
Did you do a tour of the locker room? Did they take you through the locker room and
Yeah,
things
I
like
think
that?
so.
Awesome. What about you, Tyler?
Probably last year, Kids Takeover Day.
Kids Takeover Day was fun. Jake, what's been your favorite thing about Kids Club? And then we're going to go because it looks like we got a player hopping on.
Breakfast for champs.
Breakfast for Champs. Do you like watching the practice? Yeah. All right. So we've got Chloe, Jake, and Tyler, members of the Springfield Kids Club. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you're having a good time here at White Lion.
Yep.
All right.
Bye.
Great job, kiddos.
Good work, kids. Good work.
All right. Now we're ready. We had the kids warm up, but now it's time to bring on another. We're happy to have another Thunderbirds player, and this is awesome. We got a gluttony of players. This is Wyatt Kalanick joining us.
Thank you.
How's it going? How are you?
Good, man.
Matt Baker. Nice to meet you.
Wyatt, first question. Last year you're in Hartford. What made you come to Springfield? Or was it not your choice?
Well, it was my choice. It's just NHL free agency, and this was the best spot for me to come, and I thought the most opportunity.
There's something about this division. I mean, granted, it's hard as hell, but like, is it having the luxury of not having to leave like New England to get to like 4 or 5 of the other teams? I mean, sleeping in your own bed and everything's within an hour and a half away. I mean, that's got to feel good when you go on a road trip and you're only going to Hartford and Bridgeport.
Yeah, it's certainly nice. I think last year I started off in the Western Conference and in Abbotsford, and we didn't bust you a single game. It was all flights. So as nice as that sounds, it sucks because it's every day is an 8 to 10 hour travel day. Where here it's nice only driving 30 minutes to a game or a couple hours. It's really nice in that sense.
We talk about like getting NHL ready, and that's really the main goal of the AHL is getting NHL ready. Is that more realistic though? Like the NHL guys aren't on buses, right? So like, did you feel more, I don't know, prepared for the next level when you're hopping on planes all the time as opposed to buses?
Not really, because we're flying commercial.
That'll do it.
Yeah, no, it was when you're up in the NHL, it's nice flying private and charters and showing up to the airport and getting right on the plane. But no, driving to the airport, going through security and all that, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I bet.
Honest, yeah.
This might be a silly question, but are you driving up by yourself or a few other players, or are you at least taking a bus to the airport and you're all
no.
going through security together, or are you guys just doing that by yourself?
No, we'd get on a bus at the rink. In Abbotsford, we'd fly out of Vancouver, which is an hour and a half drive. So
Yep.
Oh man.
international flight, so you get there a couple hours early. So
That's
flights
a
get
lot.
delayed,
Yep.
stuff like that. So yeah, it's the travel out west it's certainly a lot different than here.
Sure. Staying in the Atlantic Division from Hartford up here in Springfield, is there a little bit of, in the AHL, rosters are changing over often every year. Do you feel a little bit more playing Hartford than you do playing Bridgeport, or, are there guys that you were friends with last year? How's that like competing against former teammates on a regular basis?
Yeah, I don't think it changed. I think once the game starts and the puck drops,
You're out to win. Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I mean, everyone's fighting for jobs and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna battle just as hard against those guys, if not harder than other guys. But yeah, it's not just there. I think everyone has a lot of buddies around the league. players move a lot, so pretty much every game I'll play against someone that I know. So it's nothing different.
Cool.
We asked Joe this, and I'm just curious. I think that the defensive unit has been getting better and better every game. I don't know. I love this Leo Loof. I never heard of the guy. I think he plays a really nice brand of hockey. But the goaltending and Z, yesterday or Wednesday wasn't obviously the best, but I felt that Z was actually really good. Malcolm seems to really like to handle the puck a lot. And I'm wondering does that change your approach, whether it's breakouts or getting back to retrieve pucks, when you have a goalie that likes to handle the puck as opposed to a guy who maybe doesn't as much?
Yeah, I don't think it should change the way you prepare and think about going back for pucks, but when you have a goaltender that can play the puck, it makes life a lot easier for sure. Takes a little bit of pressure off you, and they're forechecking you hard. So yeah, it's a nice luxury. I think Z plays the puck well as well. I think both of our goalies have been really good for us this year, and it's certainly a nice luxury to have in the American League when you have two good goalies like we do.
A lot of talk. There's always a lot of talk about the chemistry on a line and forwards. How important is the chemistry in defensive pairings? I think you played with Coughlin a lot. It's interesting. You have Kessel and Rosen. Rosen's the vet up in the NHL. Then you've got Loof, who's rookie. Trying to break into his game. How important is that chemistry on the back line? I don't think it gets talked enough as much as it should compared to the chemistry needed on the forwards.
Yeah, I think like anything, the more you play with someone, the more you can just read off each other a little more. You're a little more predictable. So, I think being able to stick with the same partner, just gaining that trust with the coaching staff and honestly just making mistakes together and moving forward and getting better. I think if the longer that a pair can stay together, it'll be obviously a lot better.
Is it weird for a guy like you, or even for Dylan, who like he's from a whole different organization, and I know there's this whole weird thing between Carolina and Chicago, and they can't figure it out, but it's like he's it's almost like he's a hired gun. Like he's not even part of the organization. Like, is that hard for him or hard for you, or does he have a system or a style that he's supposed to play because that's what Carolina plays? Or
no, I think Dylan's here. He's a part of our team, and it doesn't feel like he's
not part of your team.
He feels he's a part of our team, and he feels just as normal as any other player would that's a part of the St. Louis organization. So it's a little different at the start of the year getting players from other organizations, but he's him, Reeser, and Suzuki now. They're a part of our team, and they feel just as much as a teammate as anyone else.
And Suzuki's coming. I don't know if he'll be in the lineup tomorrow, but I don't know if you've ever been in that position. How long does that take to get up to speed with, again, brand spanking new faces? No training camp, no nothing. I mean, that's got to be a bit tricky.
Yeah, I think obviously this is my fourth team in 4 years, so I think
really.
It takes a minute to adjust the systems, but for the most part, at the end of the day, every team is still just playing hockey. I mean, it's still systems aside, everything's the same. So
get puck, score goals, win game.
At
the end of the day.
Turn the red lights on. You're doing good.
Interesting.
How are your bartending skills?
Good. I think I poured a couple and I didn't spill anything, and it wasn't too foamy. So
there you go.
Should be good. Yeah.
No big foam heads on those things at all. That's awesome.
Good pour. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, as a avid EA Sports player, Wyatt Kalynuk's always a staple on my AHL back end. Yeah. So thank you for holding it down in the video game. I appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
And thanks for taking the time. I don't know, you left Jameson over there all by himself. I hope he's not too busy, but we appreciate you taking the time. I'll see you tomorrow in between the penalty boxes. Hopefully you're not sitting next to me too much.
Hopefully not.
But we appreciate you taking the time.
No problem.
Thanks, pal.
Thanks, Wyatt. We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, there's Wyatt Kalynuk. And I'm just glad that we're kind of here doing this for Springfield. And
yeah,
I'm sure Wyatt doesn't realize that we're at the end of the state that Boston doesn't care about. We are all by ourselves out here. They don't even know we exist. And so we are sort of self-sustaining as a community. And whether it's the Thunderbirds, it's Rock 102, it's White Lion, it's whatever the hell we're doing here with this silly podcast. We got to kind of depend on ourselves. And it's so nice to see all the community all get together and get involved.
Actually, Wyatt, if you don't mind, can I ask you a question about that? Being 4 teams in 4 years, and again, you don't have to name any other organizations, but how does Springfield and the community rally around? Like, can you feel that as a player here in Springfield? I mean, I think the community buys in 100% here. This is you guys are what we have. Can you feel that as a player?
Yeah, I think this place of all places, I think you can feel that the most. I think showing up to the rink and people are here early and doing stuff like this and seeing the turnout, it's certainly different than any other American League team I've been on. So it's awesome. I think it's nice that the organization's been here for a little while. And they've been able to kind of establish that fan base. But yeah, it's certainly it's great here.
Awesome.
It's funny. Tommy Cross mentioned that too about when you go out there for warm-ups and there's fans and they got signs and they got trade a stick for a Kit Kat and all that goofy stuff compared to when you are a home team and you go out for warm-ups and there's nobody. And you kind of feel that.
Yeah, it's there's certainly some rinks around the league where you granted there's some weekday games when it's tough for fans to get to, but it's nice to have more people in the building here, no matter Wednesday morning or Saturday night.
Those Wednesday morning games. How do you feel about those things?
They're good for once a year. I think
you got 2 of them.
We've already had 2.
I mean that's a lot to handle.
2 years, it's good enough for me. Yeah.
How do you feel about the 3-3? Because I got to be honest, I know it's for the fans and that's the days they can make it, but I feel like it's not really prep for the NHL because they don't do that. But I just feel like by Sunday your legs are heavy and
I mean, for me myself, I've never really minded 3-3s. I think it's easier to kind of stay in a bit of a rhythm when you're playing back to back to back. But
interesting.
It can get hard on the body if you get a little banged up Friday, Saturday. Getting through Sunday can be a little tougher. But it's a tough league. It's a grind, and that's just part of it.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Well,
all right. Well, again, we appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good luck, Utica. Go get them. I don't know anything about them. It's nice not playing Bridgeport, Hartford, Providence again. Lehigh Valley again. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see some fresh faces and some new blood there out on the ice. So, thanks, pal.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Here goes Wyatt Kalanock. Awesome. Excellent. All the people making noise are the Thunderbirds employees. Don't they know we're trying to do a show here? Like, what's up with that? I think you got to go see Ryan.
Thank you.
Oh, no, I guess not quite yet. Chris Marion's in the house. Chris Marion came over to take our picture, which we appreciate. I got to tell you, I've been worried about this broadcast because of all the moving parts and the cameras and the mics and all this stuff. This is going great.
It's going great.
Better than I ever could have imagined.
Knock on wood, we still have about 20 more minutes, but it's been wonderful.
And we got one more, number 39, Jamison Reese. What? Nobody's ordering beers, Jamison? What's going on over there?
Pouring a couple.
How are your bartending skills out there?
I mean, tough to start for sure, but I'm figuring it out a bit.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever poured beer from a tap. I feel like I would struggle.
It's weird. Like, I don't know.
You gotta tilt the glass.
A couple of them, like, you shut it, but it doesn't, like, fully shut off, and then it overflows, and then I'm like, people are watching me, you know what I mean?
I think the only time we've been at keg parties. We pour our own beer out of a keg. You know?
Kegs are different, though. You can, like, hold the thing.
Yeah.
But you're also, when you're doing that, you're not worried about the foam. Like, right now, I'm worried about the foam. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Usually when I'm drinking out of a keg, it's upside down.
Yeah.
I'm upside down.
I had a little stint in college when I was in college bar backing, and if it was a really dead night, the bartender would let me pour a beer or two. It's not as easy. You're right. I mean, there's some
pressure to it.
Yeah, you're not pouring your own. Where if you're unhappy with it,
just think about like like a McDonald's kind of thing where like there's too much ice. You know what I mean? If there's
They
too
send
much,
it back.
If there's too much foam, then it's like the same kind of thing.
Absolutely,
Plus, you know,
absolutely.
I mean, just a regular bar. If I order a beer, I'm watching that guy pour that
Exactly.
thing, and I'm making sure
Exactly.
that they do it right.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Well, Jamison Reese, I have a I don't know, just a question for you, like, because obviously you're with Carolina. Everybody else, you got St. Louis on your shoulder, but you're with Carolina. Is there an adjustment period either when you start or when you get called up in terms of, you know, you're playing one style and now you're asked to play something different, or you have a different group of players, or like what's this whole process been like
I
for you?
mean, it definitely seems like a lot more weird than you think. I mean, like the switch over with the guys and everything's been great. I mean, obviously the systems are a little bit different. That's probably the hardest part I've had, but I think I'm starting to figure it out now, and
Yeah.
it's been good.
I mean, the way that you play, it's almost like you just go out there and play your game and
Yeah.
smash guys and skate fast and pass the puck and move the puck, and it's like whatever system I could just play hockey.
Yeah, no, I feel like I definitely have a lot of tools and I can kind of use them in a lot of different situations. So I feel like I can almost play in any kind of role they want to put me in.
Now, did you and Dylan and and Suzuki's going to be down? He just got sent down too. Did you guys do training camp together?
Yeah, we're all in training camp together.
Okay.
So that's got to help out at least a little bit.
I mean, yeah, for sure. And I played with and against Washi, and a couple other guys. So I mean, some new faces, but some guys I knew before too. I played with McEachern last year. So
Interesting.
How is it playing here in the Northeast here in Springfield? Your road trips are 45 minutes to an hour and a half. Is that advantageous for you? Are you enjoying being able to play an away game Friday night and then come back up here to Springfield and
I mean, yeah,
sleep in your bed?
I definitely like that. I'm driving to Hartford at least for
Yep.
away games, which I've kind of never done before, which is kind of nice. But
They charge
I
you
mean,
for parking?
Yeah, $10. But
Hey, I'll pour you a beer. Give me a free parking spot.
But no, other than that, it's fun. I mean, I wouldn't mind a road trip here and there, just with the boys. It's always nice, you know what I mean? But,
Sure.
I mean, no, I definitely enjoy the short trips. Less hours on the bus to me is way better.
Sure.
It's just, in Springfield, we don't get a lot of love from Boston. We're sort of the redheaded stepchild. And so I think we're sort of forced to be like a community. And I feel like, we talked to Tommy Cross about this, about the importance of the fans being out there for warm-ups and staying after late. And I just assume that it's so annoying when you guys play a game and you shower and you get dressed, do all the stuff, and you walk out and there's a bunch of fans that want autographs and selfies. But is that I'm throwing you under the bus, but is that annoying, or is that something where you're like, man, this place is passionate and they care? And
I mean, I'm never going to complain about something like that. I mean, the
Yeah.
more fans in the building, the better in my eyes. I mean, there's nights when the boys definitely don't have it. You know what I mean? So to kind of have that behind us, we need that some nights. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
right.
So it's good. I mean,
especially those 3-and-3s.
100% 3-and-3s. 3-and-3s are as tough as it gets. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
I really don't like them.
I hate them. By Sunday, I'm like, let's just relax here. Like, you know what I mean?
Football's on.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Exactly.
Well, not just that, but I mean, in Springfield, you've played the most games in the league. I think we're
Yeah, they're
at
15, I think, yeah.
And I think a few teams are at 14. You got a few at 13. Got a few even at 10. I know at the end of the year it evens out, but would you rather, I guess, front load the schedule or kind of ease into it, or are you just like, let's drop the puck, let's play, it is what it is?
I mean, I think in most situations, the end of the season is going to be pretty jam-packed anyways.
Mhm.
But my last couple of years in Chicago, like, the end of the season it's a lot of hockey.
Yeah,
Like, it
yeah.
gets a little out of hand, to be honest. I mean, even now, like, we play 72 games. How many are we going to have done by Christmas? Like,
Yeah.
25?
Yeah.
30?
Gets busy.
You know what I mean? Like, there's still a lot of hockey left. And
Yeah.
it's going to get packed either way. So I'd rather be ahead of the schedule,
You can plead the fifth on this one. What's your take on Chicago going independent? Is that, again, you don't have to answer that if it's not in your wheelhouse, that's fine. But like, Is that a good thing? We're happy to have you.
I mean, it kind of goes both ways. It's in a lot of places in the American League, like there's weird relationships between AHL teams and NHL teams. You know what I mean? Like AHL teams want to win. Some NHL teams don't want their AHL team to win. So
Sure.
I mean, I really don't have a comment because I can see what both sides want. You know what I mean?
Fair.
I can see why there was a disagreement. So
Sure.
both sides want different things at the end of the day.
Yeah.
What's weird is that the Charlotte Checkers still wear the Carolina Hurricanes colors, and they're affiliated with Florida. That's weird. Like, get your own color scheme at this point. Like, I find that very strange.
Well, then they probably need a full new branding.
I think they do. Well, they're still, and then Carolina's still wearing. They're still wearing Hartford colors, like they own those. And being from Connecticut and
I'm
being
from
25 minutes
Connecticut.
down the
I grew
road,
up,
the Hartford Whalers are not your team, Carolina.
Hartford
I'm
Whalers,
really,
yeah.
I'm gonna apologize for that.
Still stings a little bit.
Where are you from? Where are you?
I'm just outside Toronto. I'm in Hamilton.
Okay. So, I was wondering about these holiday games. You got like a couple games wrapped around Thanksgiving. You got a couple games wrapped around Christmas. Is that just understanding part of the job, and that you might not get home for certain things? Or?
I mean, I'll get home for for 2 days.
Yeah, right.
Which is kind of tough, but I mean, it's part of it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get a couple more days in February for a little break there. So, I mean, it's fine. I mean, I played junior since I'm 16. You know what I mean? Like, I'm used to
Family
this
knows
now.
knows the deal. Yeah.
6-hour drive, so they come down whenever they can. I'm used to it.
Interesting. Cool. I'm wondering too, being from Toronto, you played in Chicago. I'm an AHL team in the major league market. I don't know where Chicago ranks, but the Bulls and the Bears and the Blackhawks and stuff. Do you get the same kind of vibe and love that you do from the smaller cities like the Springfield?
I mean, no, like when you're in public kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like we still had great fans in Chicago.
Really?
Like lots of we had good showouts every night. We actually probably had better showouts last year than the year we won.
Wow.
And I don't know if that's just an impact
I
because
think
we won.
Yeah, I think it's like a ripple
But
effect.
like even like in playoffs that year, like we didn't get a lot of fans. And obviously it's summertime in Chicago. There's a million things to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like the difference was kind of crazy, to be honest, from year one to year two. Year 1.5, year two.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, damn it for beating us. The nerve. How dare you?
We were good.
yeah, you
We
were.
were good.
You were.
We had a really good squad that year.
Yeah, you did.
Actually, I mean, yeah.
A lot
Really
of guys
good, really good. I mean,
one
and-
ways after that year, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Lots of guys, like there's probably 4 or 5 of them that almost played a full year last year. in the
Yeah.
NHL. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty good number, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, that was a very good team. That was a fun. That was a fun finals to be part of. I watched one game. I was there for the game 5, your clincher, and just thought, wow, this team, like,
We were really good.
yeah,
We didn't have. I mean, even we had no holes up front, no holes up in the back, and then we had 2 probably NHL goalies.
yeah.
When do you notice that? Do you know? Is it like November and you're like, holy crap, this team is good? Or like, when do you guys kind of feel that?
I mean, honestly, like that year, we'd be losing games, or we wouldn't show up some nights, and we just never had a worry. We never had a worry that we were going to lose. Like we'd always just kind of find a way. We'd never get worried. It was weird.
Wow. So, but that's a different vibe than you've had on other.
Yeah, I
teams.
mean, I don't think I've probably ever had that other than there.
Wow. Interesting.
Interesting.
Well,
Great
let's hope we
insight.
get a little bit of that, like soon.
I mean,
Yeah.
we got a really good squad here too.
I think
Lots
so,
of good
too.
players. Same thing. Not a lot of holes. Just, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you will too. I
Yeah.
think you will too.
Absolutely.
Just a little streaky right now, going both ways, and
I think it. I mean, look, we've talked about this in another episode. It's a lot of games and jam-packed early in a season where you're working in guys like yourself into getting acclimated in a locker room. You're bringing in guys like Bolduc and Dean and Loof, and they're getting acclimated with the American League. And,
it's a different league.
it takes time, but I don't think there not one line is a lack of talent. There's not a lot of holes in this roster, and I have confidence in Coach Bannister. I think he puts you guys in a good spot to win. So, it's a long season.
I'm fascinated by Leo Loof. Maybe it's his name. I don't know why. I find that guy fascinating. Is he interesting or is he kind of boring?
He's a quiet guy. He's a good guy though. Good
Yeah.
player with lots of upside.
Yeah, I enjoy his game. It's just maybe it's his name, Leo Loof.
Cool
I
name
think
for
I
sure.
think
Great
he's
name. It's a
been
great.
great. I
hockey
think
name.
his adjustment has been very smooth into the game.
Yeah.
He's a smooth skater. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
He is,
You know,
and he hits.
guys like that just have a different type of confidence kind of off the get go. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Like if you can kind of skate like that, you're.
Yeah.
What about you? Who's a
Awesome.
player that you've like watched growing up that you want to?
It's a good question. I mean, there's a lot. Like, I don't like to kind of focus on one guy. Like, I think there's so many guys that do so many different things so well. Like, I don't know. I like to look at myself as like a passer. So, I mean, there's a lot of different guys I like to watch. I wouldn't say there's kind of a specific guy I like to watch. I mean,
He passed on that one. He didn't pass on the other question, but he passed on this one.
maybe like Konechny, just because like he's a gritty player, he likes to use his skill, he's good in the corners, and I
Yeah.
feel like I kind of do all those things.
Sounds about right. Cool.
Awesome. Well, Jameson, thank you so much for hopping on with us. Looks like the bar's quieting down a little bit, so
Yeah.
you know.
We got a couple more
we
minutes to
appreciate
swing
you
some
taking your
beers.
time.
Thank
Yeah.
you, no problem.
And good luck
Appreciate you
tomorrow.
guys.
And I'm the PA announcer, so I'm sitting in the box. So hopefully I won't see you next to me too much, but say hi anytime.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jameson. Take care.
All right. There goes Jameson Reese. Forward for your Springfield Thunderbirds. Absolute pleasure. Now that's a guy I would go sit and have a beer with sometime.
What great. I mean, he
reminds me of all my weird hippie friends that I love to death.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell different. It was
That
going to go
guy's
somewhere,
awesome,
but I was
man.
like,
That guy's
but no, he was happy to talk. You could tell
Yeah.
some guys and
Like Duzak was like that. Duzak just
yeah,
wanted to talk.
you some guys are not comfortable holding the mic and not short answered. I think we could have probably talked for another 25 minutes to their Mr. Jameson Reese,
Yeah.
but happy to have him on. Happy to have them all on.
That's cool. That was cool. Well, to everybody that's been following and listening and watching for the last little bit, we appreciate you too. And I mean, dude, we haven't. Most of our episodes are around an hour. We've been going at it for about 2 hours.
2
Here.
hours.
This has been awesome.
It's been good. It's been fun. Why don't we? I mean, what do we have? Like a few minutes left. 5 minutes left. The slate of games this weekend. Any thoughts? I mean, we talked a little bit Utica. I don't know much about them. Anything you're looking for the team this weekend after to bounce back from Hartford?
Yeah, I'm looking for I'm looking for clearing their own zone and not just getting passes and pucks out, but clearing the front of the net. I mean, we talked before about how Subban gives up a lot of rebounds.
Yeah.
And I found in the game on Wednesday, and when the Wednesday morning games are such a bad example because they're Wednesday at 11 in the morning.
Yep.
Clearing the net, getting safe breakouts, making 1 to 2 to 3 passes to get from your own end to the opposing end. And that's the kind of thing that I think will come with time. The more these guys play together, the more they play with each other, the more the puck movement will come along. But I'm more interested, not the goals, not the goaltending, I want to see them be able to move the puck from one end of the ice to the other in synchronicity and make it all kind of work.
That's a much better way. I had the same thought. I was going to call it like smooth play.
Yeah.
Just smooth, crisp passes, shots. Because I don't think it's one thing. I don't think it's goaltending. Z's had a tough 2 games, but I'm not at all worried. He's a professional. He'll bounce back. Subban has been playing great.
It'd be interesting to see how the goaltending lines up. If Zarenko played Wednesday, I think it's safe to assume that that we'll see Subban on Friday. But who knows?
If Coach Bannister is playing true to it, it pretty much has been. They're rotating every other game. So
yeah,
I think it's Subban's number. It's his turn up, and I would expect a good showing from him. And you said it much better than I did. Just smooth. You sure? All right.
Well, I mean, I want to thank White Lion for having us. I really want to thank the Thunderbird staff And I mean, again, like we talked about, you know, several times in several episodes, we've talked about the Thunderbird staff and how they love working here.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them sitting around. Drew is over in the corner. Shay is here. Like, it's a Thursday night. There's a game tomorrow. They have a late night tomorrow. There are things that they could be doing besides coming here and supporting this event. And yet, almost the entire Thunderbirds front office is at this event.
It makes me proud to be here.
It really does.
I am a very, very small part of it, and it makes me proud to be part of this. I am honored to be here. I'm thankful to be here. I'm grateful to be here. And it's a feeling of this is why you come back. This is why I'll happily spend money to watch games. This is why I happily spend money to AHL TV. We talk about the making memories that you get to make with your family, and you know it'll be after we have some plans tomorrow afternoon in our house, but it'll be popcorn. It's usually popcorn movie night. It'll be popcorn Thunderbird night tomorrow night, and
I mean,
I'm happy to be here.
Have
a seat, T.
You know, your boys have been walking around the place like they own it, pretty much. So thank you to White Lion for.
What do you feel? You guys have had fun tonight?
T?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about seeing the players?
Cool.
Let me ask you this, T. Like, when you're watching players on the ice, do they feel like people, or do they feel bigger than that? And then when you see them in person, you're like, wow, I can't believe I see that guy score goals.
Yeah, like exactly what he said. Like they are just like I don't even like recognize them when I see them and on the ice.
Like your dad.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Did you get to talk to any of the players tonight?
I pretty much talked to all of them.
Yeah. What'd you think of Hugh McGing? Nice guy, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And you know, he played in the NHL for a little bit last year. He played for the Blues.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, T. So we go back a little bit. The overtime game that you were at, where Dylan Coughlin scored. Remember that game?
Yeah.
So your mom was taking a video,
Uh-huh.
and I got home from the game, and I saw your mom's video, and then you chime in and you go, "He scored the last overtime goal, didn't he? He's got the last 2 overtime game-winning goals." And I said, "He's right." I had never made the connection, and it took you 40 seconds to recognize that, and it took me to 2.5 hours till I got home and watched the video to make that connection.
I think
you're gonna be a broadcaster when you get older. You're gonna be a hockey broadcaster.
Maybe.
I think we had was it Barry? I apologize. Was it Barry on earlier? Our first guest, high school South Hadley student.
Yeah, Brady. Yeah,
Brady.
Brady,
I apologize, Brady. We had Brady on earlier. Brady's looking for your job. I think Tyler might be looking for Ryan Smith's job when he gets older, because that's kind of Tyler's thing. He enjoys. He calls games and likes doing play-by-play of his games and things like that. So that might be him.
That's awesome. I hope you had fun tonight, buddy. Did you have anything to eat? What did you have to eat tonight?
I had the butter pasta.
Butter pasta?
Did you save any for me?
Yeah, I saved you some.
Good. I'm hungry. This was our dinner. We're having dinner tonight at White Lion. So
you guys, you like coming here?
Yeah, this is our 3rd time.
Nice.
It's our new pregame spot.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It used to be Wahlburgers. Now it's here.
I've never been to Wahlburgers. Is it good?
Sure.
I mean, I know we're at White Lion.
Yeah, we're at White Lion. Come to White Lion.
You know.
But yes, it is good.
It's good.
And that's all right. Like, let's just talk about the community of Springfield. There are so many things to do pregame. You can go to different restaurants. If I don't have kids, maybe we go to MGM and hang out at MGM pregame. But it really is such a fun destination place, and Springfield Thunderbirds add to it. I'm actually looking into. I'm trying to double cross the schedule of Roar, the comedy club, because I'd love to be able to watch a Thunderbirds game with Jill and then go to watch the rest of the comedy show. But
so this I sort of just remembered this. So they're doing a one of the nights. I have no information, so I shouldn't bring this up. sometime in February, Westfield Fire and Police are playing against the Boston Bruins alumni.
Oh, wow.
And on that roster is going to be like Zdeno Chara.
Wow.
And that's at Amelia. And it's at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but we also have Thunderbirds game. And they've asked me to PA announce that. So I might do a double dip of Bruins alumni and then Thunderbirds.
You might
but
have
that's
to.
in February at Amelia. So you'll all have to check out.
You might have to. I might have to check that one out too.
I know. I just got to remember that. Our resource officer at the school was like, "Hey, you got skates?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Oh, well, I was told I have to play against Zdeno Chara, and I haven't played hockey before." I'm like, "Oh."
Could you imagine
good
taking
luck.
a check from him?
No.
Ah, wow. Yeah.
And if I'm Chara, I just smash everything that I see when
Yeah.
I play those games.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't know about you, Matt, but
that
it's
just about does
8
it.
o'clock, I think.
Yeah.
You know.
Thank you so much, listeners. And if I'm not, this is up. The live part, when we're done, it still becomes part of our library.
Yes.
So,
Yes, it does.
if you missed the beginning parts, make sure
we
to
did have some
check
technical
back.
difficulties at the beginning. I was trying to figure it out on the fly, and
I think it was working though.
yeah, I
The
know.
video and all that. I
Yeah,
think it
yeah,
was
yeah.
working. Jill said it was working.
It was up by the time we talked to Bax and Nagel, so that's all that matters. That we got those guys on.
There you go.
And again, one more time, the Mayflower Marathon. Thousands of different ways you can donate, but we really appreciate any kind of donation that you can make in terms of seeing 12 and a half hours, Ryan Smith, out the door. Any kind of donation you can make with non-perishable food items. If you're coming to the game on Wednesday, feel free to bring those along. We really appreciate it. They appreciate it. Monday and Tuesday, MGM Springfield Garage. Right outside of the garage is where their trucks will be. So if you can make donations there, that'd be fantastic. But make sure to check them out on Rock 102. You know who they are. Everybody talk about staples in Springfield. There's no bigger staples than Bax and Nagel.
Bax and Nagel and the Rock 102 morning show.
That's it.
I love it.
So thanks everybody for watching on YouTube. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And
Tyler, give me a let's go T-Birds.
Let's go T-Birds.
Take care.